7-0 on the road. Only one team in NBA history has won the title going undefeated on the road in the playoffs. The 2001 Shaq and Kobe Lakers, who finished 8-0. Boston can match them with a win tonight. Here's Jayson Tatum.
There's never been a Celtic team ever with a better playoff record than what you guys have to this point. You guys have a chance to be second all time, and it's like the 86 team went 82-18. You guys could be 2 games away from that as like the second best Celtic team ever in terms of record. How much more would that add to it when you think of all that this franchise has done? You guys could be at the top of a whole lot of lists in that record book.
I didn't know that. That would be really cool. But you know, you guys probably would say we didn't play anybody to get here, so we just have to do it again next year.
All right, Big Perk. I ask this question a lot, but I find it really interesting this morning with these 3 names. Who do you feel like has the most to gain from winning the title? Is it Jayson Tatum? Clearly, he's heard the narratives. Jaylen Brown has been in the media and the news quite a bit. Or Joe Mazzulla, who people were questioning his job prior to the season.
You know what? As bad as I want to lean towards Jaylen Brown because I feel like he's on the verge of winning the Finals MVP, I got to go with Joe Mazzulla. I've been one of Joe Mazzulla's biggest critics. I've been criticizing him for the offense, the Celtics spacing the floor, shooting so many damn three-pointers, and now he's on the verge of completing the mission. If they sweep the Mavs tonight, he's going to be the first. He's going to be the youngest head coach in NBA history to get a final sweep. And when I think about what he's done, he's trust his system, right? He's trust what he believe in. He got these guys to buy into what he believe in on both ends of the floor. He got these guys to sacrifice on the offensive end, right? Individual goals. We saw how Jaylen Brown was pissed off, right, when he didn't get voted All-NBA, right? He had I think it was a 4 or 5 point differential for a drop-off from what he was averaging last season, but that's part of it. Getting Kristaps Porzingis in a trade, acquiring Jrue Holiday. Do you know how hard it is for a coach to design an offense and make guys buy into it and go out and complete the mission? He's done that, and he's done it in great fashion. He's handled the Boston media, the national media, in great fashion. He's taken his licks, and he's bounced back from adversity in great fashion. And he's just been a real leader of this team. And, I mean, I feel like with Ime Udoka, the situation happened with Ime Udoka, it was a lot of pressure on him. Last year they dropped the ball, losing to the Miami Heat. They still had, I believe, they had the best team in that series. They just lost to Jimmy Butler, and we know how he performed. But at the end of the day, I got to give the flowers to Joe Mazzulla. Winning this championship means a lot more to him. He's got the most to gain.
I'm going to go with Jaylen Brown. I'm going to tell you why. Joe Mazzulla, first of all, has done an outstanding job. And he's proven himself to be an exceptional coach. When you see their defensive prowess, their selflessness, their willingness to sacrifice for one another and play together, that's about Joe Mazzulla. You got to give credit where credit is due. Not only that, he's got an assistant coach. He's got 2 African-American coaches. An assistant coach that's about to be the head coach for the Charlotte Hornets, and one who should be in the NBA in Sam Cassell. He should be a head coach very soon. So give major props to Joe Mazzulla for that. Give props to Jayson Tatum because he's been under a microscope, and give him props even more for games 1 and 2 than we did for game 3. Game 3, we saw what we expect to see from Jayson Tatum. Games 1 and 2, he was struggling, but still said, I'm going to find different ways to beat you. I'm going to find different ways to help us win. I'm going to play some defense. I'm going to have some assists. I'm going to do all the kind of things that we've been lamenting Luka didn't do because Luka wasn't getting his way in game 3. Jayson Tatum deserves credit for that. But the answer to this question to me is Jaylen Brown. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to piggyback off of of a conversation that I instigated a couple of weeks ago, Wendy, and Perk knows this. When people would text me, a couple of people text me and was like, hey, Jaylen Brown isn't that much liked or whatever, and people were hopping on that narrative, acting like I'm saying it. No, I'm highlighting these are the kind of things that he was said. And it just shows how short-sighted people can be when it comes to certain things. They just heard the fact that he wasn't liked. They didn't dissect what I was trying to say. Brilliant young man, superstar caliber kind of talent, big-time talent, $300 million player, model citizen, doesn't get into any trouble whatsoever. He's an activist at heart, politically conscientious, speaks his mind, believes in speaking truth to power, and I think from what I was told, he's also a Muslim. And I bring all of that up because when we talk about marketability, you think about all the kind of things that should say this guy should be every bit as marketable as anybody in the NBA. You look at his teammate, Jayson Tatum, I can make a legitimate argument that Snoop Dogg, Shaq, and I forgot who else, maybe Barkley or somebody. It's very few people that have more commercials than Jayson Tatum. That's his teammate. Jayson Tatum, we're now saying both are 1A. Well, Jayson Tatum's first team All-NBA. Jaylen Brown didn't even make the All-NBA team. He got my vote, but he didn't make the All-NBA team. And then when we bring up the biases that exist in this nation, we don't have to get into all of that. We're a sports show. But from a political perspective to an activist perspective, some people believe in terms of religion. Remember, somebody asked Joe Mazzulla just the other day about being an African-American coach and what that means with him and Jason Kidd. And he brought up, hey, how many of them were Christian? And the whole room went silent. So in other words, sometimes these things play a role. It's unfortunate. It's not fair. It's not right. And that's what I was pointing out about Jaylen Brown. He deserves better. He deserves better than he's been treated. He doesn't even have a sneaker deal, to my understanding, since he stopped doing this deal a few years back with Adidas, if I recall correctly, Wendy. He doesn't have a sneaker deal. Where's the endorsement dollars? You're in the Boston market, 18 championships. All of the things. Doesn't get into any trouble. Everybody knows, well-read, well-versed, brilliant mind, more court and beyond. Politically conscientious, outspoken, was at the front lines during the whole protesting and social justice movement, at the front lines. This brother was in it. He was involved, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I'm talking about when I say he's not liked, he's not appreciated, because people who are usually about that are usually the last ones to be appreciated in our society. So you're here at the NBA Finals. The brother's leading the team in scoring at 24 a game. He's shooting 55% from the field. He hit game-tying shots to send games into overtime against Indiana. He helped close the deal against Miami and Cleveland and Indiana. Now he's closing the deal against Dallas. There is no excuse not to give this man the love and the adulation that he deserves. And if he wins this and gets Finals MVP, I don't think anybody stands to benefit more than he does, because it's going to be undeniable, and you're going to have to give him the flowers he so richly deserves.
All right. Well said. First off, let me say, Jayson Tatum, get ready to talk your talk for the foreseeable future, because when you win that championship, you can tell everybody to stick it. And I think he has earned the right and keep going, keep practicing.
Absolutely.
I do believe the answer to this question is Jaylen Brown. And I do think that Jaylen, and the reason I think he doesn't get the accolades, I don't think it's as intricate for the majority of voters, Stephen A., as you present there. I think it's just he sort of falls into a little bit of a donut hole. What I mean by that is Tatum puts up absolutely incredible numbers, and they sort of run a lot of the offense through him. He's sort of the centerpiece, even though it's become more balanced over the time, especially the second half of this year. Their stats were pretty much identical. And then defensively, because he was equally upset that he didn't make the all-defensive team as he was that he didn't make the all-NBA team. And I think, again, part of that is because Drew Holiday and Derek White were so great defensively this year that it's hard to put three Celtics on the all-defensive team. And I think voters struggle to do that. That doesn't mean that that we shouldn't have. I will tell you that I very proudly put Jaylen on my all-NBA team, but he didn't make my all-defensive team. And he absolutely has a right to be angry about that. But it's just difficult. And I think after the Celtics struggled last year and he had some playoff failures, now it wasn't just him alone. He played better in the 2022 finals than Jayson Tatum did on balance. I'm not just saying that, but he sort of paid an unfair price in the perception game, which means that him winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP and potentially on the cusp of winning the Bill Russell Trophy is why it is going to be all the extra special. Because of all the individual trophies that you can win in the NBA, the most important one is the Bill Russell. I know that the Jordan Trophy is what makes your Hall of Fame category, and winning that regular season MVP is
Yeah.
viewed as such a big deal. But the one everybody wants is that little one at the end of the finals, and he's got a chance to get it, and therefore he will, I think, have elevated himself more than anybody.
Absolutely. And just because you mentioned Bill Russell, real quick before we go to break, at 35 years old, Joe Mazzulla could become the first head coach to win a title at that young of an age since Bill Russell did it in 1969.